$132.75. Our pre-approved checks for tonight total $2,394,508.07, and our board meeting checks total $516,846.03 for our total bills to be approved tonight of $2,911,354.10.
All right, thank you. Expense information was also distributed. Do any of the board members have any questions about any of the expenses that were listed?
I don't have a question about amounts, but this is for Trafford Way, like
Yes.
kind of, and I don't know what line it is because I forgot my iPad. Under Meg Putty, it was Jedlick, Jedlic.
Jedlick, yes, Dr. Maria, if you want to
Oh,
explain.
I'm sorry, okay.
Yep, no
I
problem. If
got
you
it.
want, Steve had to say, but I think this is a good thing. It's a substantial amount. Where is that money going to? Maria, you want to explain?
Sure. Those are the hours that both Ed and Meg contribute to the Trafford Way, and those bills, we hadn't received them until now, so they were back billing us all the way back to May of last year. So we're caught up with those bills now. And now we've asked that they invoice us monthly, so going forward, they should be a little bit more reasonable, but yep, that's what those are for. They're just the hours that they contribute to Trafford Way.
And that's also, Maria, that's paid for through the grant, correct?
Through the grant, yeah.
And it's not to the individuals that are listed. That's one thing I learned. It's to the,
Trafford Way for their service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Tiffany, if you have any other information, specific information, go ahead and jump in.
Some of those hours are training hours that they have provided for us as staff members, and then Ed has been helping us with some of our testing that we've been doing on students. So those would be testing hours from Ed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, what's the board's pleasure on the pre-approved and board meeting checks of $2,911,354.10?
I'll make a motion to pay the list of bills as indicated.
I'll second.
All right, motion and second to pay the amount of bills that were approved or presented. Any questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Pollock,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes. Chisholm,
Yes,
Stepbacher.
Yes.
motion carries unanimously. Item G, clerk's report. Correspondence and or donations.
So I have one of each. Thank you from Brook Industries for check ad making and donating a cribbage board. And then donations, Seat Sack donated classroom set of seat pockets valued at $250 to Amy Baumhart's third grade class. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is citizens' comment. And during this virtual time, we ask people to call in ahead of time and register for making comments to the board. We've had no registrations tonight for that. So I will declare the citizens' input portion of the meeting closed at 7:06 p.m.
President Chisholm, can I make one remark?
You may.
And since Tara's there, I want to send a big shout out to Tara and her kids. I got a picture today that they went and did a police call, picked up a ton of trash around different buildings. Want to keep doing that. So Tara, just let you know that thank you and thank your kids for doing that. That's makes a difference. So just want to give that shout out.
Okay, very good. Next is item I, the superintendent's report.
All right. Thank you very much. So what we'll do is we'll start off right away. Adam and Tiffany, if you want to give an update on the Trafford Way. And just big news, we have an agreed, accepted bid. Now it's just coming back to when we have closing dates, we have some surveying stuff. But I can say with full certainty that the Trafford Way will be housed at Presentation Building if it stays that way. Also, Father Ryan called. I talked to him a couple of nights ago, and he's really excited, and wants to do a joint press release of the sale and how they're just really tickled that the school district is buying it and will use it, so.
Awesome, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, definitely we are excited for that news. Families, I will get a message out this week and kind of been building towards this for a while. So some parents have kind of had a little bit of the inside scoop, but we're excited and just really, again, mostly excited for our families and students with this opportunity. So we'll definitely, we'll go through our board report, but definitely if you have more questions about that, we can take those at the end too, or if you need some more information. But I'm guessing the board report is up there for Treffert Way for March, and we're going to highlight, Chip and I, just a little bit of about our lottery process that we enacted this month. So I'm not sure how much of this you guys know about or not, but basically, each year we take a look at our enrollment, and with being obviously a newer school, we kind of have a discussion about, okay, can we take on more students, or are we keeping our enrollment consistent with where it's been? And this year, especially with our move to a new location, we were able to increase enrollment up to 60 students for 2021-22, which was awesome. And then with that, we then look at all the students that had applied to be at our target school for the 21-22 school year. And if there are more interested students than open seats, then we have to go to that lottery process to determine who gets in to those open seats. And basically, as far as the open seats go, we just looked at some of our grade levels and just tried to balance out as best we could where we felt those open seats would be best. So as mentioned before, I think we had mentioned that we're going to be adding that 8th grade level for this year. So we had, that evolved in our lottery process as well. So basically, we sent communications out to all those parents that enrolled and applied for next year. We had some siblings of students that are currently at Treffert Way, so those siblings got precedent and were bumped to the front of that priority list during our lottery, which was held last week on Wednesday. And then we basically just drew numbers from a bin, and parents were all assigned a number for their students, and were able to watch live if they chose to the whole process. And we just basically threw numbers and didn't really know who those numbers related to. We just knew they were assigned to a grade level and let the pieces fell where they fell. So really exciting and fun to be a part of that. And we had some really great feedback from families, and actually, really emotional too. Families that just have heard about the great things happening at our school and are just really over the moon and thankful that their siblings can get into our building for next year, or they're new to our building and just know the great things that are happening and are really excited. So we can, again, take some questions about that process too. It's going to tell you a bit more about just kind of the individual results of the lottery and give you some more information about that.
Yes, thank you, Adam. So as Adam said, our enrollment increased to 60 students for next year. So we added 19 seats. That ended up being 5 kindergarten students, 1 first grader, 2 second graders, 3 third graders, 2 fourth graders, 5 fifth graders, and 1 eighth grader. Looking at the district where they are coming from, 10 of those students are in-district students right now, and then 9 of those are out of district, either homeschooled or from other schools. So then that also is pending their enrollment, their open enrollment being accepted through the district. And then our next steps is that we'll be sending out formal letters to all of these families where they can officially accept the seat being offered to them. And then we would officially have their enrollment set if they're in district, and then out of district after that April deadline.
And it sounds like last year, and Tiff may speak more of this, but it sounded like last year with the lottery, sometimes parents won that lottery seat, but then maybe chose not to accept it at some point down the road because of just whatever was best for their family. So there's a chance that in the seats and the people that we have right now might change, so we do have a waiting list as well for those cases.
Yes.
And then, yeah, just kind of looking ahead, like Aaron said, we're just, excited about that new location. With our increased enrollment, we'll be adding staff, so about 3 new teachers and just, yeah, a lot of exciting things happening, a lot of work to do, but we're definitely feel privileged that we get to be a part of it. So at this point, just want to open up to the board for any questions or comments.
Adam, are you at liberty to say how many actually applied and therefore didn't get in because of the process?
I have those numbers here. We do have 32 students on our wait list still, and then our enrollment is still open if people apply. They just, at this point, because the lottery's been held, will go to the end of the wait list for their grade level.
Thanks.
Well, yeah, last year, how many applied? Tip, do you have?
We didn't have as high of numbers last year. I don't know specifically. I know it was not this high last year.
It's around 50 total with the kids that got in on our wait list of 30 some. So yeah, we're very excited for that.
And does the percentage of in-district students hold up even on the wait list? Is it roughly half of those students are in district?
Yeah, I would say, and I can look that exact up in a little bit here, but I would say it is about 50%.
Okay.
In and out for the wait list as well.
And I think we had a couple students kind of far away, like Wuhan was one of our families that got in that were further out, so but they just excited and heard great things about our school. So just yeah, really exciting and interesting to be a part of this.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Adam and Tiffany. Yeah, more to come, and once we have the closing stuff, and we'll start getting people through, and it'll be a great thing. All right, so at first, hey, Bridget, is it okay if you hold on? I just want to honor the athletes, and Sarah, then come back to you. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
All right. So first off, if you look up there, we're very fortunate. I'm going to stop sharing my screen in a second, but Matt's not here. There's some athletics going on tonight. So, but just really, Liam Shawcom, unanimous first place, all conference, and Bree Rock second place, and then Lexi Schneider, and then Lauren Stedbacher, freshman, were honorable mention. And then as Doug would say, if you're going to be all conference for wrestling, you actually have to win that position. You can see that we had 4 all-conference wrestlers. And then we had, even though there wasn't a state competition, we had 5 people qualified for state. Sean, Olivia, Maddie, Alyssa, and Maddie. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing, and we could see that, hey, if Sean, Madeline, Maddie, and Lauren, if you guys would show your face and go on mute, please. There you go, Sean. All right, Maddie and Madeline and Lauren, do this. There you go, Maddie. All right. Oh, Lauren, we're getting there. All right. So what I want to do is we'll go around and we'll share a little bit about the time. So we have the power lifters and basketball players. So we'll start with you, Sean. Just tell a little bit about the winter career, kind of what made it so interesting, and how hoops did. And you also did powerlifting, right? Hold on 1 second. Here's our volume on this one. Here, hold on. Thanks, Sean. Just 1 second.
There's 2 buttons over here, right on the side. I don't know if those are it.
Oh, no, those aren't. Oh, silly me. Never touch. There we go. All right, Sean, give it a run now. Nope. Hold on a second. So that, the volume's there.
You have to turn that speaker up. It's on the table.
Oh, that could very well be right here. All right, give it a run. Still nothing. Anyways, so what we'll see here, So sorry, guys. So Sean, nod your head. Did you have a good time doing the sports? Excellent. All right. Was it kind of interesting playing with the mask on all the time? Interesting. Yep. But are you excited for football? Awesome. Awesome. All right. So now we're going to go to Maddie. Maddie, so how are you doing? Did you enjoy powerlifting? Yeah. So were you powerlifting at the heavy weight or more of the lower weights? Heavy or lower? Yeah. Are you strong? Nice. And are you kind of looking forward to the soccer season 2 coming up since you missed it last year? Awesome. Good work. All right. Way to go. Hey, now we're going to go to Madeline. Madeline, did you feel you got stronger this year? Are you a force to be reckoned with? Excellent. So, by the show on your hands, how many different meets did you have this year? 3. Was that or 4? Was that pretty interesting where it was virtual or people come in? I remember huge tarps in the weight room. Pretty interesting times, huh? Excellent. Well, welcome. You did a great job. It's great having you, and thank you for being here. And then we'll go to Lauren. Lauren, how are you? You doing good? Oh, sorry. Oh. Did you do something? Yeah. All right, so Lauren. If you want to just use her, whatever you do, we'll just finish. So Lauren, being a freshman, were you kind of excited or nervous? Were you nervous when you started playing varsity? A little bit. There, we can hear you a little bit. And then from there, but tell us a little bit about the basketball season. How did it all go?
It went very.
Excellent. You got muted, but I can tell that you're excited. And we're really proud of the hard work that you did to be a freshman that's made all conference. So Madeline, Maddie, Sean, and Lauren. Sorry, we'll get the sound worked out later on. I know, Sean, we're going to see you in May for the school store. I'm very proud of you guys. Thank you for coming tonight. And also thank you for your hard work. It matters. And we're looking forward to keep things as open as we can and give you all these experiences. And we're really proud of how hard you work. I know if you would have went to state, you would have got it. Well done. All right, thank you guys very much. All right, next what we're going to do is we're going to go to this, and then if you guys want to go, you can, unless you want to stick around. But thank you guys very much. Next, what we're going to do is we are blessed that we had Jenny Stahl in the past, boy, before that it was who do we have? Jenny Delnagari. But now we're fortunate that we have Sarah McDowell, who is a Cole Fellow. And Sarah, would you unmute and say hi?
Hi. Okay, nice. Nice. He's flashing the light on me. Hi, everybody.
Hi. So Sarah, would you tell them a little bit about the Cole Fellowship and kind of what it took to apply for that, and just a little bit about who Sarah McDowell is as the teacher and educator?
I want the questions like the athletes got. No, just kidding. No, I was nominated for the Cole Fellowship Award by a colleague. As most of you all know, I teach special ed, and so I work with a lot of different teachers throughout the day. And one of the teachers I work with nominated me. And from there, you fill out the application, which is pretty extensive. I get some letters of recommendation, 3 letters of recommendation, 2 from people within the district, and then somebody outside of the district. And from there, you submit all of your things. And I heard back, that was in September, and I heard back in December that I made it to the state level. And then a couple weeks back, I got notified that I was one of 100 winners of the Cole Fellowship. So pretty amazing. It's a once in a career thing, and I'm just blessed to work around such wonderful people, and that enable me to do some of the things that I do in the school system. So.
And one of the things, Sarah, you have $6,000 because you won the fellowship that is being granted to the school district, and that's 100% whatever you think. What are some of your ideas of how you're going to use that to impact our students?
Well, we have a couple of things that I had on my application, things that I do within the system is in schools, is that we have our nurturing nest over at Bessie Allen. So the Nurturing Nest, if you're not aware, we take in clothes, people donate clothes, and I work with my students. My role in this, I work with Brenda Vanderpass on this, and Kim Roden also help out. And so I take in the clothes, I go through the clothes. I have students that help me during their free time. We go through the clothes, we look at things that we think kids would wear. I get the clothes washed, and then we get it in the closet for them. And then when we need something, if a student needs some clothes for some whatever reason, whether it's some kind of a tragic event that happened in their life, or they just are short of clothes, or they need some hygiene products. If teachers notice that students are in need of things, they refer them to us, and then we get the things to the kids that are in need of them. It's crazy how, you start something kind of small, and I mean, there's things that go out of the Nurturing Nest every day to help them. So it's great. So I would hope we're expanding. We've gotten more and more things come in, and kids are using it more and more. We'd like to open that up to parent-teacher conferences when we can do those live. We'd like to have parents be able to come in and actually pick up things that they would need. So we want to expand. So I'd like to use some of that money for that expansion to store for storage and different things like that. Then also we have, as most of you know, my dog Bella comes to school as a therapy dog. So we could always look at expanding some of the things that we do with Bella. And then some of the money also, I work with the ORIA leaders, and we've been kind of shut down, as you know, with the COVID, but we were doing a lot of different volunteer things. And if we can figure out a way to, get the kids all dressed up in some shirts so that we can represent a little bit better than what we do, but we ring bells, we go to Feed My Starving Children, all these different things, and it'd be nice to provide the kids with clothes that they can represent SEM. So those are just some ideas that I have.
Awesome, and we know that you're now up for a finalist for Teacher of the Year, so maybe we'll hear a little bit of that in the future too, and you'll have to go on a national circuit.
Yeah, right, yes.
No, very well deserving. We've been fortunate. Jenny Del Nagari, Jenny Stahl, now Sarah McDowell, Anna Miramonte was our last student co-fellow winner. So, for a district our size to be represented like that, it's awesome. So congratulations, Sarah. And
I just real quick, I just, want to thank the board and thank, admin team, administration team, and my colleagues too, because I was fortunate to win, but I'm not able to do the things that I do if it wasn't for the support that I received from everybody that I work with. So thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, well, get on with your evening. Thanks for making time for us tonight.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
All right, just really quick. I don't see Liam on there anymore. He had jumped on, now he's off, so that's okay. So Liam Shaw was on there, and I'll let him know that we did see his name. So now we'll go back up to COVID-19. At this time, hey, Bridget, I'll turn it over to you. You want to just give a update on what's happened since we've been back full-time and with vaccinations?
Yeah, so we're doing great. We just had our last vaccination clinic. I actually helped out with that last week, Thursday, for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So that was, like we like to say, one and done. And everyone that has received the vaccine is really glad that it was a one and done, because they had quite a few side effects from it. But definitely, I always tell people, just remember that it's much better than actually having the virus. So we got through that, and I'm really happy to say that I think we're up to almost 90% of our staff being vaccinated. It's a huge percent of the staff that's willing to get the vaccine to not only protect themselves, but also to protect their families and friends around them. So huge shout out to everyone in North Fond du Lac District for, just really wanting to protect themselves and others. So as for COVID in the schools, very small amount right now, and it definitely reflects what's going on in the community, what our school is doing. So we did have to quarantine 2 classrooms last week at the elementary level, but it was a small amount, and, and that was the first time we've actually had to quarantine a classroom for quite a while. So, so we're doing good. I don't want to jinx myself, but so far we're doing good. Looking forward to getting through this week and then on to spring break, and hopefully everyone's going to make some nice healthy choices and be safe during their spring break. So.
Yep, and a big shout out to Bridget and Emily and Julie, but also Bridget, I want to thank you. Point out, Bridget is actually taking on 2 student nurses. Bridget's always been somebody who says that, I'll help people learn. I know it takes time from her, but then it helps us get ahead. So thank you for doing that, investing back in the nursing community. It's a big deal. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Excellent.
Love having them. I definitely love to partner with Marian University. That was where I went to school as well. And always willing to take on students. I know that they've been struggling just with clinical sites, and so they reached out to me actually this morning and asked if I'd take on a second student. So I'm actually choosing their project, and we're going to have an emergency response revamp for the district. So as for medical responses, I really want them to focus on making sure that staff know exactly what to do in the event of a medical emergency. So unfortunately, we had 2 issues. Last week, we had 2 911 calls, one Wednesday and one Thursday. Both students are doing just fine, but they both had dislocated knees. So 2 dislocated knees in 2 days. It was just the craziest thing in the same building. The paramedics thought it was a prank call or that it was an error, so they didn't know if they needed to respond or not that second call. But yeah, I mean, you just never know what you're gonna get, and it was kind of nice to deal with something other than COVID, to be honest. So, but yeah, no, we're doing great.
Well, thank you. And then Samantha, you want to just give a little shout out about the play and how that all went? I know Pete could also, but if you want to just give a shout out to Anthony and Julia and Krista and the team.
Sure, yeah, and Pete, I'll let you jump in because you were there as well, but it was really nice to be able to watch it live online, and kids did a great job with the clear mask, and they were super excited to, have their families and people that they invited in their pods in the auditorium come and watch. So just did a super job. Every year we have a ton of kids that help in the set building, and then behind stage, and then of course the actors, and then the people in the sound booth. So just really, really glad that we were able to have a musical, had a lot of compliments that way of just being able to host was a really good thing, an opportunity for our kids. Again, a huge shout out, Julia's in the pit band with her little green wand, and did a great job with kids there. And then Anthony and Krista doing a lot of the set building, which looked great on camera. And Anthony working with actors, so just thank them immensely. Pete, thanks for coming in as well for making sure that things worked right. And I know several of us, including myself, kind of text and like, hey, what about this, or just checking in. So just really appreciate everyone involved.
Excellent, thanks. And then a big shout out to Mr. Chisholm, who figured out the couple Benjamin Franklins and some ingenuity. We can stream anything online now, isn't that right, sir?
Yeah, so really have to give credit also to Ivan and to Kurt Wismer. So the 3 of us figured out how to do live streaming, which, believe it or not, we had not done any kind of live streaming from the theater ever. And so to be able to get good content into the Oriole TV channel was a little bit of a stretch, but it worked out okay. And so, like Samantha was saying, that had a chance to watch it. So the theater was open for the cast, people that were involved in the theater. So Anthony did a nice job of laying out pods where people could come in and sit. They were 6 feet away from other people. They all wore masks. So at one point there was about 70 people in the theater. And to be honest with you, after a year, it was just really great to see some activity going on in the building. So yeah, they did a great job. So hats off to all of the folks that helped make that happen.
Thanks. At this time, does the board have any questions of the leadership team about COVID and how it's going into schools at all, since we've been back full time?
Yeah, I had a question for Bridget with I guess I'm wondering on the quarantine, when the classroom quarantine, what the current number of days is. I think originally it might have been 2 weeks, but are we still doing that?
So if there's a close contact, as long as they are asymptomatic, they can return to school on day 11 of the quarantine. We're not doing a full 14. We're allowing only a 10-day quarantine as long as they have 0 symptoms. In the letter that I send home with the student or we email out to the families, I actually have a second page, which is like a chart for families to fill out for day 11 through 14, just to monitor symptoms. It's not something that I require them to hand out, but it's just like a nice reminder for them to know that they really have to monitor symptoms. And if they have any one symptom, they have to stay home and continue with a full 14-day quarantine instead of the 10. But we're not allowing kids to come back or staff to come back any time between that 7 and 10 days. I know that the state DHS had recommended that, you know, if families chose, they could have their student tested and then could return on day 7 as long as that test result was negative and they don't have symptoms. But we chose not to go that route, so we're just doing the 10-day.
Thank you.
I will chime in that while I was in the school week before last for the play, I ran into one of the high school teachers who was leaving the building and had a chance to chat just briefly about impressions of kids back and very positive things. Kids are glad to be back. I think that the teachers are glad to have them back, and you know they're kind of getting at things, and it's working out very, very well, at least from this particular teacher's perspective.
Samantha, just a quick question. Did you have any more juniors or seniors take you up on open campus for lunch? Does that help? I mean, how is lunch and social distancing going?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. That's a really good question. I had a few more take me up on it, yes. So what we did, Matt and I, the very first day is we allowed everyone, the maximum we have is 5 per table. They chose their table, they signed up as a group, and that's who they will do it every time. I know just reading the new CDC guidelines today, you know, definitely I'm gonna ask that question at admin team, you know, distance and so forth, but we've been, you know, pretty lucky so far. Kids appreciate the fact that they got to choose then who they were sitting with. And we created 2 lunch lines, like an air traffic controller during lunch, but to get them through, we get them through obviously a lot quicker and then they have time. And then tomorrow, actually, Pat Colby is doing a little intramural 3-on-3, our gym, with some, you know, smaller numbers, but with a team that they sign up with and stay with. Because we just got to get, you know, kids to be more active and that during the day and move around, and love that it's nice out so that a few of them can sit off the picnic tables as well outside if they choose rather than that table.
Thanks.
Mr. Tatum, is this the time that you want me to also kind of share a little bit more from graduation?
Let's hold off on that. We'll give Maria with the budget update, and then when we get at the end, then, you know, share a little bit more of that information where we're at. So thanks, Sam. All right, and thanks, Bridget. Any board members, any other questions of the leadership team? I just want to say we're working, and I think this is what we're doing right now really has a positive impact on what it looks like in the summer and in the fall. I'm excited about sports going on, the musical, being as pragmatic as we can. I'm very proud of very proud of the kids and our staff. So full speed ahead.
I have one question for Mr. Gonzalez.
Yep.
I can.
Mike.
Mike, there was.
Yes.
Hi, there was a survey that I saw you had in your newsletter about something that the kids were worried about. I'm assuming it was COVID, but what was the question?
The question was, are you worried coming back to school? Like, what are your feelings about coming back to school? Worried, not worried at all, somewhat worried.
Okay,
And more than half said they weren't worried at all. And I think 20% said they were somewhat worried, and about 15 said they were worried.
yeah, I was just curious what the question was or how it was worded, that's all. Thank you.
Well,
All right, so what we'll do right now is move on, and I'll go to Maria. Maria, if you want to right now, just give an overview now. Understand this is like I put in the report, this is like nailing Jello to a wall right now, you know, with how things are gonna be going. But if, Maria, if you just wanna give a quick update of 2021 and then a little projection, you can see that I have all these, and there's some big numbers, some big what ifs, but just overall give an idea, because there's gonna be a lot of information, and we're gonna slow play this because it's all gonna take time until we get that joint finance going and we find out what we have. But I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Putzer.
Thank you, Aaron. Hi, everyone. I'll go over what we're looking like for 2021 first, and then I can take some questions if you have any, and then I'll update you on the process of 21, 22, where we're at with that and planning and budgeting for that year, or for those years. So right now, if you remember, back in October, we passed a budget with a $680,000 deficit, not knowing that we were gonna get CARES bills passed and ESSER money. So far, we've received ESSER 1 funds, which was $112,000. We have more than spent that already, and actually have already claimed that and had that come in. So that's been part of our cash flow. We have now been allocated ESSER 2, and in my note to you, when I wrote this, we weren't sure when that ESSER 2 money was gonna come in. There was some talk that they were still trying to figure out the allocation, and that wasn't gonna come in until after this fiscal year. A couple hours after I wrote this, I attended a session. I was at a 3-day conference last week. And the last session I was in said, we will be getting the allocation on April 15th, so we can start claiming after that date. So I should be able to claim the $470,000 in this fiscal year, which will be great. That should cause us to have a surplus, a small surplus for the year. So that's great news. We're gonna use that $470,000 to backfill what we've already spent. And that was staffing, PPE, HVAC expenditures that we've had. We have more than spent that amount of money. So we'll use that again to backfill. And then I'm thinking we should have around a $95,000 surplus. We have another quarter to go, so it depends kind of how HRA does, the rest of our utilities, but we're looking really good for 2021. And then we are also receiving ESSER 3 funds, which they're saying should be twice as much as ESSER 2, so we should be getting close to $1 million. That won't be available until next year, so that will get budgeted into next year's, the 21-22 budget. Let's see. I'll have budget revisions in May, so we're gonna just keep watching the budget. I won't have an update in April, but in May I will, mid-May, and then I'll show you the budget revisions that I'm proposing, and then we'll have a good idea of how the end of the year is going to look. So any questions on 2021?
Maria, I have a kind of an accounting question, which I think it'd be easier for you to explain than me to try to figure out. But when you say backfilling, that's stuff that we've already spent money on. So will that go back into like fund equity, or what does that actually mean, backfilling?
It just means we've already spent money in those buckets that we can actually use ESSER funds. So yes, it'll go right back into our fund balance, basically. So instead of having a deficit in our fund balance, we should have a surplus in in our fund balance.
Like if we spent $90,000 on improved HVAC, it just goes right into there. So it's able to cover that back.
Okay, so that particular budget line would have that money back then to be used for something else.
It
Going
would
forward.
actually go into a revenue account. DPI wants us to budget it back or to deposit it into a revenue account. So those accounts are actually going to look negative, but when it's all balanced at the end of the year, overall we'll have a surplus.
And remember that ESSER 2 funds that it's backfilling, those aren't recurring costs. So that's not something that we predict will continue to happen, so we feel confident there.
Good question. All right, so then moving on to 21-22. We don't have a whole lot of information yet. We have some proposals out there, and part of the governor's proposal is a 200 per pupil increase for next year, and an additional 204 for the following year. He's also wanting to, and that's huge. That would be huge if we got that. The other area of increase he's proposing is in special ed. Right now, we're being aided on 28%, or we're being aided 28% of our special ed costs. And the governor's proposing 45%. So, and for us, every percent is about $48,000. So you can see how significant that would be if it did jump up to 45%. I'm guessing it'll be somewhere in the middle there. That seems really, really, really optimistic to me, but we'll see where it lands. So I have listed some of the major assumptions that I've made in starting to develop next year's budget. Flat enrollment, and I always start conservatively. I also use trends, but I did flat enrollment. I did a 15% increase in health insurance. There's some grants that are dropping off, so that's going to affect us a little bit. I did a 0 pupil increase in categorical aid, and I did flat special ed. So anything more that we get will decrease that deficit. So down at the bottom, where I have the numbers, that would be best case scenario. If we get, we will be getting those ESSER 2 dollars, which is close to $1 million. The 200 per pupil increase would get us about $268,000 based on flat enrollment, and then 45% special ed would be almost $750,000. So we could be looking at a $500,000 surplus. So that's where nailing Joe to a wall comes in. We're swinging from a $1.4 million deficit to a $500,000 surplus. We're monitoring it, we're watching, I'm talking to other business managers. I've even been talking with Baird to see where they're thinking we're gonna land. Time will tell. Let's see, what else?
Couple things I'll add to it. So when you see the additional staff at the Trefford, all of that is worked into the formula. We have now allocated X amount of money per student at the Trefford Way. And if you remember Tiffany saying they're increasing 17 students because they have more space now, they have more capacity. That's adding staff. So when we see those additions to the Trefford Way staffing, that doesn't take away from what we would have spent on our students. That's just bringing in more revenue to the Trefford Way, if that makes sense. And then, as we go forward too, I'll talk, we're going to be talking staffing and looking at some different possible needs we have for staffing, when that looks like. That'll come in April. Then we'll have more of those conversations so you can have a heads up. But currently, right now, we don't have anybody retired that we know of or leaving. So pretty interesting. But no, thank you very much, Maria, for putting this together. And I'll keep the board informed too. There's going to be opportunities for joint finance and writing, and I'll give you guys some information on that too. So, but more to come. Steve.
Quick question on the list up there, the ESSER 2 for 940,000.
That's ESSER 3.
I was going to say, should that be
Yep.
ESSER 3, just so I don't get too confused?
Yep, so this should be ESSER 3 right there. This should be ESSER 3.
I have a typo in there, I'm sorry. That is
I
S.
tried to put the cursor there, Steve, so it looked like S or 3.
Yep. And then one other thing I wanted to just mention, this is not anything to do with the budget. I just wanted to mention that we are switching audit firms. We're going from CLA to Huberty, and Huberty has already started with our membership, our pupil audit that we have this year, and then they will, going forward, they will start doing our annual audits. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
What firm is that?
Huberty.
Huberty, oh,
The
Huberty.
new building going up by Diamond Insurance. Or more of a
And
local.
one of the lead that I've been talking with at Huberty actually came from CLA, which is awesome because he's already very familiar with our district, and so we're hoping that they can just hit the ground running rather than us having to explain who we are, what we do. I've just kind of updated him on some of the changes that have happened in the last couple of years, and I think it's going to be a great partnership. Anything else?
All right.
And if you have any questions in the future, just feel free to email me or give me a call.
And then the joint finance meetings are set. I'll end up writing a letter and I'll give it to you guys, see if you guys would also like to endorse that. And really the big focus that we're working on is getting that per pupil increase in categorical aid and increased special education aid. Any increase in special education aid takes us to have less money to go from Fund 10, which then Fund 10 is our most flexible accounts that we have. So there's going to be different things, and I'm sure that there will be some give and take. And the nice news is our economy in Wisconsin is looking a lot better than what we thought. So more to come on that. Thanks a lot, Maria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we got the election coming up, so good luck to the two people running unopposed. So good luck on the election coming. Know that in April we'll have the reorganization, so start thinking about if you have any desire to be in a different level or a different part of leadership within the board. KPIs, those Carrie Jo is working on, those will be presented in April. They're looking really good, so that'll be a great tool for just to see where we're at in the future. Then Samantha is going to bring the valedictorian, salutatorian, and also the scholarship winners. We'll present those so that you have an idea of who they are. And then also I want to throw this out here before we go to Samantha, some updates about graduation and prom and any other administrator updates. I'm guessing that maybe what we want to do is if anybody from the public wants to come beginning in April, we can probably do that. But then if they want to, I think also now if we want this in this area too, I would say we keep this as it is and keep coming, but if people wanted to, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Great.
Yeah. And then I would still say with the number of administrators, I think this is working fine for them, and then they don't have to go home later on as long as they have it here. If the board's okay, I'll still have them come in remotely like this right now, if that's all right. Cool. And then we'll still have Oriole TV, and then I'll put it out there that if anybody wants to do public comments, that we'll have space for them here. All right, cool. All right, so at this time, I'll turn it over to administrators if you want to share anything. For sure, Samantha, if you want to just give a little bit of where you and the staff are at looking at prom and graduation.
Sure, and I hope you can't hear Xbox NHL in the background, so I apologize if you can. Yeah, so a really great group. We've been working with our junior and our senior class advisors. So our senior class advisors are Kurt Wismer, Krista Kleinerman, and Doug Forsythe. And obviously we didn't get to have a prom last year, so we started talking about it this year. And when I asked the other principals, hey, what are you guys doing? What are you looking at? Just in talking, I know Lamira was the first one, I believe, that said, hey, I'm thinking we're just gonna do a tent outside. We've got to do it outside to be safer. So I started talking to the group and they were really in favor of that. Fond du Lac tent and awning. Now that it's nicer, we'll come out and just look at some positioning, but I was able to rent a tent that is 40 feet by 60 feet, that fits 300 plus people. and that we are going to do a separate junior prom and then a separate senior prom. So juniors will be held on May 22nd, or excuse me, May 15th, and then seniors will be held May 22nd. And it will just be our, like our junior class and their date, and then the seniors would be their senior class and their date. No outside guests from other schools made that decision. I know that the other public schools are doing things similar to that. Our tent, we are going to put behind the bleachers over at the athletic complex. And then kids are talking about, seniors have already said that they want to use some of the prizes that post-prom had from last year, and they're going to raffle them off during prom. They are looking kind of together, both classes are looking at some fun lights that I know some of them have already purchased, and making it a special night. I know talking with Erin as well, the food places that before had donated to post-prom, we're just going to talk to them to confirm that they would still help us out. So Taco Bell was great doing, individual tacos, and I know Buffalo Wings had food for post-prom, as did Culver's, I believe is the third one. And so looking at using the concession stand at the athletic complex. Yeah, so excited to be able to have a prom. Like I said, I'm talking to a couple of the other schools around here, Lamira and Laconia and Amarillo, looking at similar plans that they're doing. So that's where we're at. We have DJs for both events. The tent will stay up between both events, and yeah, work in progress.
So they can do, okay, so only juniors, nobody else, no date from outside, it has to be a junior class person.
No.
Doesn't have to be a junior class person. So if a junior is dating a freshman or a junior is dating, it just has to be a student from our school. If a freshman is dating a freshman, they will not be allowed to come to prom. They have to be a date of a junior.
So,
and then
go ahead.
And then the seniors, for their prom, they will choose who their date is, as long as the person is from our school, grades 9 through 12, and then they would have a date or a friend.
Sure. So do they get to dance?
Yeah. I know that there is a school in our area that's debating not allowing dancing. No, we will allow dancing. Actually, if they're gonna wear a mask, they're all gonna have to be masked, and that's the same for all the schools around here. Yes, it's an opportunity to have a prom, so they have a DJ that they're excited about, and we'll still have court and announce that. The seniors are the easier group to work with. I probably shouldn't say that out loud, but they are just in a position because they lost some things last year. They have been like, hey, we get to have it, it's great. And, we get it. Juniors are a little more demanding. I appreciate their thoughts. I know they, said, is it gonna change and allow guests? And, just talking with other schools, I don't see that changing at this time. I know that the juniors have talked about possibly doing some, oh gosh, what's the, not beanbag toss, what is it? Cornhole thing. And doing a couple of games like that outside, and I'm like, that's totally fine if you want to do that. So we'll see what other ideas that they are able to come up with as a group.
And then graduation, Samantha.
Yep, so then the graduation, we've started, I shared a little bit of our document with you in board report, but Sunday, June 6th is our graduation at 1 o'clock. We feel that it would give the best possibility to probably 5 guests per student out on the Oriole Athletic Complex bleachers. We've got 2 gates that we're going to use for students to choose who they walk in with, and they'll walk in that way. In talking with Dave, we can make the setup happen, and then actually, details, sorry, but kids would actually receive their diploma right on the track, so they'd be a little bit closer to what parents are up in the bleachers. But yeah, we're figuring all that out, and we know obviously with weather, we've got to have a backup plan that way. But again, kids are really excited and think it's something special for them to be able to have them inside, and I've had no complaints whatsoever so far from students, and obviously we'll continue to put more information out there. It works for the band. Julia's great with it. Anthony's great with it. I know we talked about the microphone covers, in case of, wind and things like that to work with the choir. But, yeah, so we're working through our thoughts and together, but that is a plan to have graduation outside on that Sunday.
Samantha, I know that you're aware that over the last 25 years, the board has always held the graduation inside because of decorum concerns. And I'm assuming this year, because of COVID and spacing and physical stuff, that's why we're looking at doing it this way, which I guess I could see as an experiment, if you want to put it in that term. And so I would like to see how everything goes, how the decorum, if it's changed from 25 years ago when it was moved inside because of issues with that. And, I don't want to be a Scrooge here, but I think that we need to, consider it, and in my opinion, consider it for this year as because of COVID, and then we'll see how it goes after that, so.
Yep, and I guess if it helps, remember that I am a person who graduated from Manitowoc, who has an outside ceremony every year, and it's very, very impressive, and the decorum is wonderful. And I know Mr. Sadek, having previously worked there, knows that it's a really, really special event. So my goal is, obviously this is because of COVID, but we're going to do everything possible to make it a really, really special event for them. And then certainly we can review afterwards of, our thoughts or how it went and that. But it will be a very good ceremony, absolutely.
Excellent, thank you, Samantha. Any other board, any Chris or Mike or Adam, anybody have anything else that they'd like to add, or Dave? All right, well, thank you guys very much. Board, do you have any questions of the administrators? You saw the reports that were submitted? All right, then at this time, we can move on to new business.
All right, thank you. First item of new business, discuss and consider policy update and edit recommendations. This is the second reading of a number of policy changes.
Yep, and there wasn't any controversy or changes from the ones before. So I'm going to recommend that those that we discussed, the edits, changes, and deletions that we keep. And then I do have a separate one for the 0167.1 that I included after I took the suggestions from the board.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure on the update and edit recommendations that were presented last month?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading as discussed.
A second.
Okay, motion and second to approve policy updates and edit recommendations. Any questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Huck,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes. Pollock,
Yes.
Stepbacher,
Yes.
Chisholm.
Yes. All right, item number 2 is discuss and consider the policy adoption of 0167.1, the voting, which we reviewed also last month.
Yep, and then I did make those corrections and I sent them out that week, and everything that looked like that was what was reflected, and I included that. So this would just be the second okay of that. And by doing this, guys, we are up to date on policies.
Wow.
Great. All right, what's the board's pleasure on 167.1, the voting policy?
I'll make a motion to approve the voting policy.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the voting policy. If there's no questions, roll call vote, please.
Pollock,
Yes.
Huck,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes. Stepbacher,
Yes.
Chisholm.
Yes. All right, those motions are approved unanimously. Item number 3, discuss and consider the cooperative for boys hockey with the Fond du Lac School District for the 21-22 and 22-23 seasons.
So we do that with girls already. St. Mary's Springs is not, they don't want to co-op with anybody. They have enough for their team, so they want to just have St. Mary's Springs players. And Fond du Lac has been kind enough that if there's an opportunity for Our kids, and I don't know if we have boys right now, I know coming up we will. I know we have one girl that plays, so it's just another opportunity for our kids to have a chance to play a sport that we don't have enough to have here.
Okay, any questions? Looking for a motion?
Make a motion to
Okay.
approve.
All right, motion to approve the cooperative for those 2 school years. I'll second that motion. And a roll call vote, please.
Stefbacher,
Yes.
Chisholm,
Yes,
Hawk,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes, Pollock,
Yes.
great, motion carries. Item number 4, discuss and consider summer school educator pay raise increase. Pay
All right.
rate increase.
Yes, so we haven't increased this for 8 years. It's at $21.43. I recommend we go to $23 per hour. Fond du Lac, I believe, currently is at 25. I know that there's other districts that might be higher or lower. What I'd like to do is recommend $23, so that's what we do this summer, and then do more of a comprehensive look and look if we have to adjust it even farther. I know that working with Lauren, Violo that's been doing the summer school, she says that some teachers asked if that's going to be changed or not, and she said that some people mentioned 23, and I think that's more than fair. It's $1.57 more. We don't have problems getting the teachers currently right now, so I think I would much advocate to have that raise and then reevaluate and look at some more data in the future.
Do we have more on the docket for summer school this year?
Absolutely. We have, what I'll do is I'll have Lauren and Matt talk more about it in April, but if you go on the website, we just had the summer school elementary handbook and all the different course selections coming out. And I know middle and high school are working on some things too. So definitely at the elementary school, very robust.
All right, further questions? What's the board's pleasure on the pay rate increase?
I'll make a motion to approve the summer school pay increase.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second to approve the suggested pay rate increase. Roll call vote, please.
Stefbacher,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes, Pollock,
Yes.
Chisholm,
Yes,
Hawk,
Abstain.
motion carries with 1 abstention. Number 5, discuss and consider parental options for opting out of standardized testing.
I will turn that over to you, Adam, if you just want to explain that.
Sure, yeah, thanks, Aaron. So, state statute in Wisconsin reads that students in grades 4, 8, and 9 through 11 are able to opt out of state assessments, I should say some state assessments, but it doesn't articulate for those other grade levels. So the other grade levels being grades 3, 5, 6, and 7. So that then being a local controlled state, the state leaves it up to us for those grades and if we want to honor and opt out. So typically parents will opt out for various reasons for state tests. And typically in our district, we have maybe 7 to 12 per year across the whole district. One of the assessments that students can't opt out of would be the access test, which is for our English language learners, and that not being a test you can opt out of is tied to that assessment is aligned to language proficiency and exiting criteria, and it can also be kind of a civil rights issue if we're letting students in that assessment opt out. So that's why that one's not a assessment that's a parent can opt out of. Additionally, too, this doesn't take into account any of our local assessments like a STAR assessment or an interim assessment. It would just be for those state assessments where that's allowable.
And then if the board's pleasure, so then this would just be the principals. If somebody wants to opt out, they allow that. I mean, we always promote to try to get that. We'd like students to take those because it gives us a picture overall, but it's something I think allow that flexibility. And then once we do this, we shouldn't need to do it anymore. this will be something that will just continue to go on annually unless it changes.
Adam, can I just ask a real quick question?
Yeah.
For those 7 to 12 across the district that opt out, how do you coach the faculty on what to do with those kids when they're not taking a test? And I'm asking more from an inclusivity perspective. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, so, typically, it's like Erin mentioned, we want 100% of our students assessed for all assessments. That's what we believe in that, and that data is important to us. So if a student does opt out and does not take the test, then, at the building level, the teachers and administrators can determine, okay, what will that student do during that time? Typically it's anything from, maybe just, the teachers are usually testing, so that student is probably just doing whatever activity is deemed appropriate by that teacher during that time. And then once that class resumes from the test, and that student comes back in that testing environment. So, there's really not much you can do. And again, the students, I could see that idea, well, they're missing out on something, but they're, again, missing out on something that they would have the right to opt out of, the parent would, and, it wouldn't be a district decision that we can opt a student out, the parents would have that right. So, that answer that, Paul?
It does. I don't know if I have a warm fuzzy feeling about not much we can do and, an activity deemed appropriate by the teacher during that time frame. That doesn't, I'm being honest with you. It seems like that's a sore thumb sticking out.
Yeah, again, it's with that small amount of students that we have, we just, we don't have a teacher assigned to those kids necessarily. Again, that's going to continue with instruction, and sometimes it's, depending on the grade level, it's maybe an hour's worth of assessments that they, again, have just a time to, complete homework or do other activities. But yeah, it's kind of is what it is.
Paula, if I can share too, so, I feel like I've got great support at the high school with the ACT, and for the students in Reed Hanson's program who take an alternate assessment, the day that we held the ACT testing day, his students actually came to school. We typically only have juniors in the building that day, but his students came to school that day because they don't take that assessment. We did have 2 parents that, because of stress and some other reasons, they requested to opt out of the ACT, and I'm glad that's all we have. Very rarely does that happen. I don't think as long as I've been here, we've ever had someone at the high school level that has opted out. We're doing the forward exam with Mrs. Poe in social studies class, and then special ed will pull special ed kids to test them individually. So I think teachers do a great job of really educating kids and, us trying to let families know, hey, this is really helpful to see your child's progress. If, for example, tomorrow we have a student that comes that is just not in the right frame of mind, and we know that that forward testing window is open, we might, it hasn't happened lately, but, choose for them not to take that assessment that day. I think like Adam's saying though too, if we ever were to have a parent opt out, obviously we would try to get them to take it first and foremost, but I think that would be a great time for someone to work with that student and resource, on an area that they're struggling with. So we're lucky at the high school that hasn't happened, and I'm knock on wood, so that continues to happen that way.
All right, thank you.
Adam, is there any particular rationale why the other grades that you said are not able to opt out?
They can't by state.
What?
So they can't, state statute says they can opt out. These are the grades where they can't, because there's only certain ones that are reported on a report card. So those are covered by the state that parents can opt out. These are the ones that aren't covered. That are covered.
Well, that's why I'm asking, why are some grades, why would they not want everybody to be tested?
Yeah, it's a little bit tied to some of the federal laws and the NAEP assessment that's done across the country, where it kind of helps to standardize testing so we can compare different states and where they're at. So kind of, you might hear the term rate-vising. So this, in 4th grade, 8th grade, and then high schools where they look at some of those cut scores and then compare 4th graders across states. So that's, again, where I'm, again, not knowing for sure, I'm guessing Wisconsin doesn't want to, doesn't want to, or is going to go along with that NAEP piece for 4th and 8th grade high school. So, but that is kind of an interesting, why not just have it across the board for all grades? I totally get where that's coming from, and that question makes sense.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the opt-out capability.
I'll make a motion for the parental options for opting out of standardized testing.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to allow parental options for opting out of standardized testing. If there's no further questions, a roll call vote, please.
Goldowski, yes. Pollock,
Yes.
Stepbacher,
Yes.
Chisholm,
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Last on the new business is discuss and consider extra duty assignments. Do we have any?
We have none. That's a move one right now.
Now-
Probably have a couple more in April, but we're done, nothing right now.
All right, so no extra duty assignments, and therefore that's the conclusion of the new business. Next item on the agenda is discuss and consider going into closed session to address 2 issues, one of which is superintendent review under state statute 19.85 parentheses 1 sub parentheses C, and the second is to discuss possible pay increase for the 2021-2022 school year for educators, hourly wage, and administrators, also under state statute section 19.85 parentheses 1 sub parentheses C. Do I hear a motion to move to closed session under those parameters?
So, I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and second to move to closed session. Roll call vote, please.
Stepbacher,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Goldowski, yes. Pollock,
Yes.
Chisholm.
Yes. All right, so we will be in closed session. Thank you. I don't think there's anybody left on the Zoom call.
No, but here's the deal. Remember back when we used to have like about 90 comments? There's not one comment.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting non-controversial. Go figure.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very
So,
much,
and,
leadership team.
Thank you to the leadership team and staff for participating.